What's up guys, welcome back to another Call of Duty 2020 video, another Black Ops 5, Call of Duty Vietnam, Black Ops, whatever you want to call it, this year's Call of Duty game. And in this video we're going to be talking about Black Ops 5 being delayed. We're also going to talk about Sledgehammer's next game, as well as a bunch of new leaks that have come out about this year's Call of Duty game. So before we get into today's video, I want to remind you guys to subscribe to the channel if you're not already, that you guys don't miss out on any of the latest and greatest Black Ops 5, Call of Duty Vietnam, Black Ops, whatever you want to call it, this year's Call of Duty game videos. I posted a video about Black Ops 5 about this year's game yesterday, so if you guys haven't seen that, you guys should go and check that out. But make sure you guys subscribe to the channel with notifications on, then you guys don't miss out on any more great videos. So let's get into today's video. First off for today is that Sledgehammer Games have announced that they are going to be hiring over 100 plus developers to work on their next game. So they also confirmed that they are a multi-project based studio, so they are working on multiple projects at a time, and they say that they currently have 200 people working there and they want to add over 100 more. So they put out a video on their YouTube channel going over kind of what it's like to work there and over some of the positions that are hiring. So I mean, if you live in like the San Francisco area, you want to play at Sledgehammer Games, there you go. But they want to add on more developers because they are working on multiple projects. So we know from all the recent rumors and leaks going around that this year's Call of Duty game was supposed to be a game made by Sledgehammer Games and by Raven. Well, those two studios had a bunch of disagreements and some falling out, so Activision had to step in, and instead they took their game that they were making and they said, okay, you know what? You guys can't handle this. Instead, we're going to have Treyarch come in, and Treyarch came in and took over development of the project, and so now Treyarch is the lead developer for this year's Call of Duty game, so it's going to be like a Black Ops 5 game. It's going to be a Treyarch game, and Sledgehammer and Raven are now support studios for Treyarch on this year's game. But Sledgehammer Games is also still working on their own game, and apparently they're going to have their own like Battle Royale game coming up soon that will have its own building aspects similar to Fortnite. That's just a recent rumor and leak going around, but it lines up with what they say here, that they're working on multiple projects. So they're obviously working on this year's Call of Duty game for Black Ops 5, and then they're also going to be working on their own standalone game coming up either next year or the year after, and so they need more developers in order to take on this huge initiative. Next up is that during Activision's Q1 2020 earnings call, they talked about this year's Call of Duty game alongside Modern Warfare. We'll talk about Modern Warfare in a second. But regarding this year's Call of Duty game, whether that be Black Ops 5 or Call of Duty Vietnam, whatever it might be, the COO for Activision says, quote, "The game already looks great and is on track for release later this year." So this is Activision confirming that this year's game will actually, in fact, release this year. So there has been previous rumors going around saying that this year's game might be delayed for, of course, two reasons. For the first being that since Treyarch had to take over development of this game like right halfway during the middle of Black Ops 4, around like May of last year is when they had to take over the development of this game, rather than having a full 3 years to work on their games like they've had for Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4. Now they only have 2, and so that is the reason why the game could be delayed. Plus, then we also have had all this stuff going on with the coronavirus and with quarantine, and developers having to work from home. There's been a lot of talk that the game might be delayed into early next year, or if it is still this year, is that it might be later this year, sometimes say like end of November or December sometime this year. But Activision confirms it's going to be coming out this year. We know it's obviously going to come out before Christmas to capitalize on those sales, but Activision here is confirming that this year's game will in fact release this year. It will not be delayed. They also have not, curiously, they haven't confirmed a development studio, which they always do. They've always confirmed a development studio for their game coming out every year. They'll be like, oh, this year's game is going to be developed by Infinity Ward. This year's Call of Duty game is going to be developed by Treyarch, or so on and so forth. So they always confirm that. This year they haven't. There's been rumors saying that they haven't confirmed that because they don't want to give any credibility to that Kotaku article talking about all the poor treatment of all their employees regarding Treyarch and everything going on around May of last year and the behind the scenes of Black Ops 4. And then also in this earnings call, they basically announced that Modern Warfare is doing fantastic. Warzone is over 60 million players, and they say that Modern Warfare has sold through more units and has more players than any prior Call of Duty title at this point after its release. So they're basically saying that Modern Warfare is the most successful Call of Duty game of all time. So that beats out like the previous ones, which at this point it was like Modern Warfare 3 and Black Ops 2 were the top, and now Modern Warfare is actually back up there. So this confirms that Call of Duty is not dying. It's actually hit its highest peak ever now with Modern Warfare. So that's interesting. But then Also, something Activision said earlier this year is that they expect that this year's game won't meet those same expectations and won't reach those same levels, so they don't have as much hope in this year's game, presumably because it's going to be like Black Ops 5. There's a lot of I feel like a lot of the community is burned out on Black Ops at this point, and also doesn't have a lot of faith in Shirk after the events of Black Ops 4. But now let's get into the most important part of this video. This is what you guys have all been waiting for, and this is the latest leaks about this year's game. So this comes from Victor over on Twitter. He's a very, very reputable leaker. He has leaked a lot of stuff right in the past about Black Ops 4 and about Modern Warfare, and he has even talked about Warzone and stuff in the past, but he has recently come out with some new information about this year's Call of Duty game. So, he said in a tweet that the plot description of the campaign is similar to the Black Ops series, the multiplayer is also similar to the previous COD, Zombies has some new ways of playing, it's very suitable for me. I don't like to look for eggs in the map, no need to ask me for specific information I can't disclose. Somebody asked him, when will we see any teaser? And he says, the information I got so far makes me not very interested in Call of Duty 2020, so I didn't ask about the game's announcement. And then he also clarified and he said, it's just that I'm not interested in Call of Duty 2020. You can read the information of the gaming revolution, he should be very concerned about the new COD. And of course he might also be referring to all these recent talks about how development of this year's game is pretty rough, and a lot of people are saying that this year's game is not in a great shape at this point, which could also be the reason why we haven't heard anything regarding the reveal date, or we don't have any teasers or anything at this point so far. Typically we usually have some teasers or some talk about this year's game. Right now all we have is leaks. There's no official information other than yes, there will be a game coming out later this year. This person followed up and said, I am mostly a Zombies player, so that's what I'm interested in. Do you have anything to say about it? Thanks. And he says, Zombies has new gameplay, does not mean to give up the old gameplay. So this is fantastic. This is something I am happy about because I'm more of an old school Zombies player. Ever since Black Ops 3, I haven't really been too much into zombies. I mean, when Black Ops 3 first came out, I preferred the Giant because it was like a classic zombies experience rather than a map like Shadows of Evil, because that was like the new way of playing zombies. But I'm more of a classic player, like I said, so I appreciate this. They say that they will have new ways to play, but then that doesn't mean that they're getting rid of the old classic zombies as well. So I'm curious to see what kind of balance they'll strike here, if they'll do kind of the same thing that they did in Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4, where they have like a casual classic map, and then they have like a serious new gameplay Easter egg style map. So like Black Ops 3 did that with the Giant Shadows of Evil, and then Black Ops 4 did that with Classified and also with 9. Those are like your casual maps, and then they have Voyage of Despair and Blood of the Dead, which are your more hardcore maps. So I'm glad to see that the old gameplay will be returning. And another person asked, does that mean a lot of the gameplay will remain the same? Can I have some news on what's going on and what's staying? Please, Juggernog. And he says, the game has not been announced yet. It is too early to discuss these. Then he has a shush emoji and he says, good news. So obviously referring to Juggernog, alluding to the fact that Juggernog is returning in this year's game, whereas it was completely removed from Black Ops 4. Juggernog was not in Black Ops 4. The Church removed Juggernog from Black Ops 4 because they thought that it was a crutch perk, that it was a perk you always had to have, which they weren't wrong, but it also kind of took away from like the classic zombies, and it was a bold move, but I think that the community didn't like it so much and they should have gone back on their decision. Instead, they just stuck with it for the entire season of Zombies, which is unfortunate, but it appears that Juggernog is returning, so this also kind of confirms we're going back to the roots of Zombies, back to classic Zombies, which is awesome. And then another thing, this was posted back in April, but I wanted to let you guys know about it. It's that somebody asked him, just tell me it's not a camper's paradise and low skill players safe space in it, please. And he says, campers are inevitable on some maps. So, I mean, he's not wrong. I mean, pretty much every Call of Duty game, even the most like run and gun ones like Black Ops 2, Modern Warfare 2, and Modern Warfare 3, you still have camping spots on those maps. I mean, every map always has like some spots, and some maps are just kind of designed more for people to play more of a slower playstyle instead of rushing. But hopefully Turek learns from Infinity Ward's mistakes with Modern Warfare and decides that they want to design their maps more around like being aggressive and rewards aggressive players, whereas Modern Warfare rewards people for playing the game super slow and tactically and basically camping. And somebody asked him a question regarding his initial tweet about campaign, multiplayer, and zombies. The tweet where he says that multiplayer is similar to the previous COD. So he asked which previous COD, Black Ops 4, and he just has a winky face emoji. So it's really similar to Black Ops 4's multiplayer. So honestly, I think that's a good thing. I liked Black Ops 4's multiplayer. Now I know a lot of you guys didn't, that's fine. But I really liked Black Ops 4's multiplayer in the beginning. I think at the beginning it was a very, very solid multiplayer, and it just needed a few more tweaks, needed some new maps, weapons and stuff, but it seems as though as time went on, and with all the different updates and stuff, the game kind of got progressively worse and worse and worse. And the whole microtransaction system was not popular. They finally came out with a fair microtransaction system right before Modern Warfare came out, so that kind of blew. But I mean, hey, at least they finally put out a fair one. So hopefully they implement a fair microtransaction system from the get-go. But I find that's probably going to be highly unlikely, especially since Modern Warfare has had the most microtransaction sales so far in any Call of Duty game, so it's probably safe to say that we're still going to continue to have microtransactions like we do in Modern Warfare. We have like $20, $30 packs. I personally hate that, but I mean, it sells well, so what can you do? But that is all the information we have for today's video, guys. There is rumors that we're going to be getting a reveal on May 14th, so that is on Thursday, so make sure you guys subscribe to the channel with notifications on there. You guys stay up to date if the reveal is actually happening on Thursday, on May 14th. So make sure you guys are staying up to date on the channel for any of the latest Call of Duty 2020 videos and news, whether that be Black Ops 5, Vietnam, Korean War, Cold War, Black Ops, whatever it might be called. There's apparently been 50 names for it, but make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. That you guys stay up to date with all the latest, greatest information about this year's game and about Modern Warfare and Warzone. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.